And just get up and get her done. Get up and get her done. Get up and get her done. I don't know what the fuck that means. Get her done. Get up and get her done. Hello, 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 beautiful women, beautiful ladies of the internet. I'm not fully essential, but that is okay. It is your girl Aten, aka SONDRMOMNTS LLC, all up in the YouTube building. Ladies, how you feeling? All right, I hope you're good. I hope your coochies are healthy. I hope life is going and flowing for you, baby. I hope everyone's mind, body, and spirit is intact, and I hope you are flowing graciously, effortlessly, boldly, irrevocably through this retrograde season, through this eclipse season. Let me know how y'all felt about that in the community forum section. I'll probably do like a check-in about that because, bitch, my clip season went real good. My clip season went real good. I really clip a lot of shit, okay? Really clip a lot of shit. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. So, as you guys know, I am starting a series on this channel as an extension of my Not My Mother's Daughter cohort. If you want more information about that, I will leave a link below, as well as the same link to reference how this flow in this format is going to evolve for this series. However, we are here at the first video of this series, which is the quality of your blueprint. The quality of your blueprint. I do have a list of notes because I am known for talking and being a little bit verbose. Okay. So we want to stay on topic, and I also want to keep everything in a nice, juicy time limit. Announcements: the SONDRMOMNTS Not My Mother's Daughter cohort has commenced. If you're interested about that, more information down below. Okay. I also do check-ins via the community forum section of YouTube. So if you're interested in that and just want to check in, chit chat, let us know down below. As always, comments will be turned off. If you want more information about that, visit the first video of this series. So let's get into it. So, Not My Mother's Daughter, yes, it is about navigating and finding your voice, realizing Sonder, finding your place as you reclaim your identity as a woman, and how that and how that reclaiming, how the energetics of that reclaiming, how the transmissions of that reclaiming gets integrated via sisterhood and via friendship with other women, right? However, we can't go straight off the rip and go straight to the potency and the high frequency of some transmissions without bringing it back down to reality, and without really bringing it back down to where conversations like this truly begin, which is the household, which is the conversations or the lack of conversations thereof with our mothers, with ourselves, how the ego and identity and persona is built or not built in the household, and particularly with our connections with our mothers, right? Because as a woman, the first blueprint, aside from the wisdom that gets passed down, obviously ancestrally, as we navigate into this spiritual realm, into the earth realm, a lot of those representations and examples are found through our mothers. Regardless what was there or what was not, regardless if it's good or if it's bad, a lot of how we show up in the early stages and early adulthood, for our persona, for ourselves, for our identity, is centered around what was learned in the relationship with our mothers. Something I also forgot to mention, I do apologize. These transmissions are in no order, so it's just different various talking points as it relates to understanding the quality of one's blueprint. I do want to let you guys know that, because I might be saying one thing and then switching to another, but it all really comes full circle. That's kind of like the way I talk and tell stories. You'll get used to it as you learn my personality and as you listen to my videos. All right, let's continue. Another important thing that we dive deeper into the cohort, and another important facet I do want to include to kick off this series, is rites of passage. I do believe each race has their own rites of passage. I'm not familiar and savvy with all races. I just know about my own. And I do know, unfortunately, as a woman of color, primarily as an African American woman in the Western Hemisphere, a lot of those rites of passage, those important epigenetics, the high frequency, the spiritual, the high potency epigenetics, a lot of them get lost in translation. And obviously, this is no diss to any of our mothers and any of our. Okay, mic's still on good because I don't want to be recording for no reason. There's no diss to our mothers, but unfortunately, a lot of the time, as it pertains to the household, a lot of our mothers have not provided those potent frequencies. And a lot of the time, our mothers are in a space of lack as it pertains to how to navigate the dynamics, the conversations of having a Black daughter and what that looks like, or insert whoever, just having a daughter and what that looks like, and how with each milestone, certain transmissions, certain experiences need to be led by example, and led by example and just shown in order for us to really get a full understanding of our energy as a little girl, and how very what's the word I'm looking for, how important it's needed to showcase the healthy transitions into each phase, from baby to little girl to adolescence to early adult woman to all of that, right? What I have noticed from my own personal experience and just observing others, because as I always do, when these ancestral transmissions, when these important epigenetics, when these rites of passage, be it intuitively, spiritually, or visibly, is not incorporated in the foundation of building I don't want to say grooming, because I feel like that has a really negative connotation to it, but really building the success of our daughters, of us when we were little girls, it leaves you open to being the weak link, the the it leaves you open. It leaves you the weak link of the bloodline. Whether that bloodline is of a multiple, does that make sense? Whether that bloodline is a culmination of you and other women, or you and other little girls, depending on how you want to jump into the timelines of that. But it leaves you as the weak link. It leaves you and your bloodline open for spiritual attack. Yeah, it leaves you and your bloodline open for spiritual attack and energetic warfare. As it when it comes time, when you now have the psychology and understanding to connect with other friends, to start that connection of friendship and sisterhood. And the reason why I framed it as energetic warfare, because that truly ends up that truly is what happens as a result and a byproduct of lack of um, information and spiritual knowledge that is not passed down. To relate it back to myself, I know this is something that I had to really, 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 really go through unconsciously and consciously for me to understand. Because you can have all of the beautiful knowledge and gifts, and you can be so spiritually intact with God, the cosmos, the ether, your read, whatever you want to frame it as, insert whatever. But if you're open, and I don't mean open like you have a lot of spiritual knowledge. I mean open like a sense of nakedness, a sense of transparency by the lack of understanding that you have. There are women that will take advantage of it. I have learned from personal okay. Okay, bitch. I have learned from personal experience. Okay. And a lot of the time, the women that you'll end up attracting is very narcissistic women, very women with bruised egos, women who are in search of identity and crisis, and want to find that and nestle themselves in someone who has a void and is not conscious of that void. it leaves you open for spiritual attack. And some people, I don't give a fuck. Some people may say like, oh, well, we don't know that we're doing it. Bitch, oh, there's only so much I can say on YouTube. That's why I need y'all to join the cohort. There's only so much I can say on YouTube. But it's true. I will give that to you. True, there's some women who do not know that they are manipulating and blah, 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 blah. I'm guilty of it, but with a certain, there's levels to the manipulation. There's levels to having narcissistic tendencies. Obviously, this video is for educational purposes only. Consult your medical doctor or therapist, but there's levels to it. But I know from personal experience, there are some women, I'll say bitches, there are some women out there who consciously know what the fuck they're doing and move you like a game of chess. Just like men, and I think this conversation is important because I feel like a lot of us don't really have that understanding. The same way how men can see through women and manipulate and rearrange us to fit our timelines, the women do the same thing. There are women who come into this, there are women from the spiritual realms who are men, who live in the spiritual realms as men and drop into this physical body as a woman. You understand what I'm saying? So the manipulation is quite easy for people of this prototype or archetype, whatever you want to frame it. I forgot which one means what. I think prototype. And in addition to that, even if that's not the case, there are women, raised by very masculine figures or just their father. Like, and I'm not saying if you are raised in this case, it's automatically going to equal to you being a manipulative insert whatever, but I'm saying like women who fit this kind of caliber are, because what I'm explaining, it leaves you open, it leaves you the weak link, it leaves you as a target for energetic warfare. Usually this void that is taking place within inside of you, if there is a huge sense of naivety going on, you don't see it, but those around you see it, especially women. Because what I've also found, that women like myself, and others who had to go through this in and of itself is our rites of passage. I do believe that certain women who are born into this life, or anybody, but particularly the women are born into this life, I feel like because we haven't had the ancestral rites of passage that that our tribes and foremothers and fathers had, we had to make our own rites of passage. So what I am sharing with you is my rites of passage, one of the many rites of passage that I had to take in order for me to stand here breathing 10 toes down. And women who are like what I was saying was women who are in likeness of what I am speaking of possess a very powerful ability, but it's like it's that ability and that power is fragmented. So while you're putting the pieces together, there are women who can see through that and who will usher in a cloaking of friendship or sisterhood, but is really disguised as an ulterior motive. You following me? Let me continue. Another aspect that dims and lowers the quality of your blueprint that I have learned by personal experience and just from other women is having, usually this happens with the eldest daughter. Usually this is the eldest daughter, or I've noticed it could be the middle child. No, I'm sorry. Usually it's the eldest daughter or the last born. Usually it's the eldest daughter though. Those of us who had to parent our parents, parent our siblings, a lot of the time that leaves, what did I write down? A lot of the time, if we have to parent as adolescents, it fragments our ability to show up in a way where we are recognizable to ourselves and as others. And let me explain. So what I meant by that was, let me just relate it back to myself. When again, this is no diss to my mom or whatever. It just is what it is. Part of me having conversations like this is getting comfortable around the fact that what I just have to say it how it is, and that's just how it is. So, excuse me. When I was born, I was raised in a household where my father transitioned some time ago. So it was just me, my mother, and my siblings, right? I'm the eldest out of 6. And when I grew up, I didn't have a childhood. My childhood was robbed. So in place of where a child, especially a little girl, because whatever we touch as women and as little girls, it uh catalyzes, is that the word I'm looking for? It quickens, because we have that portal. We have that portal within us, and we're aside from children, we're the closest one of, in my opinion, I don't give a fuck. We're the closest source to God. It's children, babies, mothers, and women. It rearranges the order however it makes sense. But anyway, so there is, again, this is going back to the rites of passage and the transmission and the potency. It is very vital for any child, but especially a little girl, to have that really strong foundation with imagination and play, because, and having a healthy ego. Like, it needs to be a good balance taught with the both of it, because a lot of the time, such as myself, when it is a situation of that child skipping the adolescence and it being placed by parenting for whatever particular reason, it, there the persona, the ego, and the identity becomes fragmented, because everything that the child should have been learning in all of those transmissions that I should have been taught, it was replaced with responsibility, one that I did not ask for and one that I was not responsible for. And because the responsibility ranked uh, um, above the hierarchy of everything else, it dimmed the ability to really tap into the creativity with the ethers, with God, with my inner child. Not even inner child, because at that stage, you're just a child. There is no inner child. You're just a child. So when you have to show up in that kind of capacity, the identity and the ego becomes confused. It gets really blurred, and this is where a lot of the prototype of the mothers, or the archetype, excuse me, of the mothers, excuse me, of the women who become like the mother figures in the friend group. I know, I know I was that for a long time, and I take pride in my nurturing abilities, but a bitch was overdoing it. This is where the mother friends are born. This is where the mothering of your boyfriends, which I think is nasty, but boyfriends, or husband. This is where that archetype starts to get created, because oh because sorry, there's a boda going past me and it threw me off. But as I was saying, when imagination and play, and really having that connection to really figure out your do's and your don'ts, your likes and your dislikes, as your mother's, in an ideal world, teaching you of this potency, when that is replaced with responsibility, and a forced responsibility. It's not like you can choose to decline it. It's forced. It's served to you. You must obey to it, or dot dot dot, or else. It leaves you wondering, who are you? What the fuck is an ego? What the fuck is a personality? What do you like? Who the fuck are you? What are your tolerances? What are your no's? What are your do's? What are your don'ts, outside of the confinement of being obligated to have consequences, and having a family or a mother that relies on that heavy responsibility. You following me? Is this making sense? So showing up as a parent as an early age is very detrimental, and unfortunately, obviously, I'm an adult now. I'm a mother now myself. So it's not like I can rewind the clock, but this conversation is still important, because it goes back to what I said in one of my original points. You're not recognizable to yourself until you are placed in an environment where no form of coddling and stroking of your mother's ego is a necessity. You are not truly aware of yourself and aware of who you are and what you stand for, with your ego, your persona, and identity, separating all of that, until you are in an environment that is taken out of survival mode, and until you set up your environment to where there is no parenting unless you have your own kid. You following what I'm saying? Until and you're not aware and recognizable to yourself until you stop surrounding yourself with women who project, and if this is your mother, then so fucking be it, because it is what it is. I've dealt with it myself. But you're not fully in your God body, in your ability to relate and to connect as a woman for yourself first and foremost, until you can stop dealing with women or your mother or other mother figures who project as if, what am I trying to say? Who project as if they want to help you, but really they just want to vicariously live through you so they can re-identify their own blueprint through you. Yes. Because, many of the time I had to learn through this. And if you're vibing with this and you're still here, then I'm sure you fit this, subscribe to this blueprint at some point of time, and maybe you're still trying to figure out how to get out of it. But you're a parent to everybody else, but who's a parent to you? You're there and present forcefully for everybody else, but who's doing that with you? And there is a gray matter that begins to get created, and that gray matter becomes a void, and that void then becomes a portal, and that portal then becomes a karmic loop. This step process goes from adolescence into early adulthood as a woman. So each stage it progresses, and then that karmic loop is when I tend to realize, like with myself a few years ago, like I was repeating the same loops. And what I found that the woman that I used to attract was a direct correlation of the lacking and the characteristics and the attributes that I had to go through in my own household, and the dichotomy within that household and within my mother. A lot of the women that I used to attract wanted, and I know, I fully admit and take accountability that I definitely could have done better with the boundaries. And I had that archetype of that just overly mother, because I didn't know how. I mothered myself because I didn't know how to mother. I didn't have that motherly figure, so I mothered other people. So it goes both ways. But with that being said, I also attracted women who wanted a representation of a mother without having to commit to it in their own direct bloodline. You following what I'm saying? Wanting to have that relatability, someone to be there and really ego dump on them. But at any point of time, if they weren't really vibing with the fuck I was saying, or whatever the case may be, they were able to unplug, because I'm not their representation of their biological mother. I'm just the representation of the shadow aspects of the lack thereof, and the lacking of their mother and motherly dichotomy within that household. You following me? And the last thing I want to talk about that I wrote here, I don't know how long this video is because I don't have on my glasses, but the most important thing, if you have not gotten anything from this, which would be really stupid if you haven't, but the most important takeaway, aside from the rites of passage that I spoke on earlier, not having a healthy rapport with yourself and understanding what that navigation looks like with all the information that has been discussed in this video, it makes your vetting process with who you share your closeness with too questionable. This is something I had to learn the hard way. I'm talking about friendships that ended on the most traumatic fucking levels ever. Oh my God. Like, and not even just like based on like a traumatic ending of some of my friendships. It's more so just a lot of shit could have been avoided if I would have realized that the quality of my vetting process as it pertains to connecting with, building relationships with sisters and women was in direct reflection of everything that I'm sharing today. It would have made showing up for myself 1,000 times easier. But again, this wasn't taught to me. I had to figure this out. If you are too open, and again, by open I mean your spiritual vessel, physical vessel, and the questions that you are seeking is, it is, you wear it on your face and you wear it on your body. That's what I'm talking about. you in pursuit of the questions of life, the questions of your household, the questions of your ability as a woman, if you wear it too easily, if you wear it easily, you are open. And when you are open, again, like everything I've been saying in this video, it makes your vetting process for who can stay and who can exit and who needs more time to be figured out as it pertains to building healthy relationships with women and with sisters very shaky and very questionable. Very, 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 very questionable. Because how can you vet anybody if you can't even vet yourself? How can you really truly stand 10 tones down on the quality of the friendship that you have entered in and the timeline of that if you haven't given yourself an opportunity to really just sit down and be like, is this person, am I a good friend to myself? Let's start the fuck there. Am I a good friend to myself? Was my mother a good friend to me? Not to say our mothers need to be our friends, but the energy of learning what a good representation of a woman is in a friendship, has my mother taught me that? Was that representation quantified or even there at all in my household? Is there women of my bloodline who are in direct representation of the healthy dynamics of what I want my friendship and sisterhood to be like? If not, why? Who is it coming from? Where is it coming from on the bloodline? What energies need to be cleaned up? What do I need to do to make sure I'm not repeating and those same cycles over and over again, starting from patterns and creating karmic loops, which then turn into epigenetics that our children and children's children will learn? If these conversations aren't happening, and if you aren't asking yourself these conversations, and 9 times out of 10, unless you just have a beautiful, unless you just did a lot of good dharma in your past life and you came in and jumped into this physical body like just ready to go and just charged up and understand how to navigate, a lot of the time your vetting process is weak. And I'm saying that because my vetting process was fucking weak. I'll get into like more accountability and the things I have learned on my end that I had to really take a huge, I don't really want to say that because I feel like my ego, I really had to build a healthy rapport with my ego. I feel like there was a lacking of it because of my childhood. But accountability definitely had to be taken on my end in terms of like what I was entertaining, where I went wrong, and coddling certain particular women and my friendships, all of that. But we'll get into that later. But like I said, unfortunately, it's very unfortunate, but women with this archetype attract narcissistic women or a woman with narcissistic tendencies. Again, video for educational purposes only. And it sucks. It does. It really does suck. But at some point, I forget how the phrasing goes, but once you hit a certain age of consciousness, you are responsible for how your life unfolds. Look at the sun coming out with the message. Come on, give it to me, God. Give it to me, God. Give it to me. Give it to me, ancestors. They got a message for you. But for real though, for real, like you are responsible for the energetic karmic cleanup, dharma, all of that. You are responsible for that, for not only yourself but for your bloodline. And even for those of you who don't want to be mothers or have no pursuit and interest in becoming mothers and raising children, don't you still want to have a healthy blueprint to leave behind for insert whatever? I would think so. So yeah, having a truth tested, meaning you've done the work to say that you can stand 10 toes down on this, a truth tested vetting process. There are healthy examples in your life of what that shit looks like. And even like if you don't have the healthy processes, because hey, I'm a loner and I spend a lot of time alone. I get that is changing, however, with you guys and with my growing community. But I do get it. Therapy, inner work, all that juicy shit. Having a vetting process that is not shaky, that is built on integrity, a healthy defined ego, the ability to really observe quietly and let the women who want to be your friends and want to be in likeness of you, well, let me not use the quotes, whatever, want to be in likeness of you and want to pursue you as a friend and potentially a sisterhood, let the quietness of that vetting system, let that shit speak for itself. That's something I wish I would have fucking did and paid more attention to. But Everything happens for a reason. Every friendship I went through, every ending of the friendship, every funny ass shit that I went through, everything happened for a reason. And now, bitch, I be seeing shit from a mile away. That's why I don't talk to a lot. That's why I don't talk to a lot of these hoes. I be seeing shit from a mile fucking away, bitch. I don't. You're not gonna sun me, bitch. You're not gonna trick, cause I'm always nigga, bitch. Yeah, get into it. Anyway, that is the end of this video for the first series of the Not My Mother's Daughter series. If you are liking what you're hearing, please be sure to give a thumbs up, as well as head over to the community section of my YouTube channel, to where you can be informed for updates, questions, guided prompts, things of that nature. If you're also interested in joining the cohort, now is not too late. I will leave the link for that down below. And yeah, that is it for this week's topic. I pray all of you guys are well. I pray the journey is sweet and the exit tastes like honey, however that applies to you. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Bye. Now this is the part I don't like, when I have to get up.